First few years of college, I threw every single day.
Of course you want to be a champion. Of course you want to be working towards winning titles.
Be happy, but never satisfied.
Better than ever.
Welcome back, Ultimate fans. Canadian Ultimate Championships 2023 Junior Division Semifinal. I'm Clayton Hallett. I'm here with Danny Proby. We are here super excited to bring you this game at the Newton Sports Complex in Surrey, BC on the traditional territories of the Semiahmoo, Katzie, Kwantlen, Kwe, Kwitlam, Kaikite, and Tsawwassen First Nations. It is a beautiful day here on these territories, here on this land, Danny. I love that we get to do our play and what we love here today. We are coming off, well, I saw you catch it. Yeah, I saw you catching the tail end of a massive, massive game of Vortex women against Wicked West women, and Wicked coming out with the Universe Point win. Now we've got the complimentary team and the Vortex Open team playing off against Manitoba that has quite a story in this tournament, Danny.
So Manitoba started 0-3 on day one, and we know that wasn't exactly what we were expecting from this squad. So for them to be able to pull it together and find themselves back into the semifinal game is quite the Cinderella story. And we also love having the hometown team being represented here with Vortex. They already faced each other in pool play, where Vortex ended up winning that game on Universe. So I know Manitoba is here looking for blood in the semifinal, looking to find their way back to the finals for a second year in a row. We have Manitoba is going to be pulling in dark on the right side of your screen. Vortex is receiving in white.
So that pull is going to land in the end zone, fielded pretty quick by Vortex. Kinsey getting the dish back, highlighted as a big playmaker by his coaches. A vertical offense here running by Vortex. They do like to huck, but it's not there. And still sticking with that vertical. Vortex puts up a throw, kind of desperation. Bounds there, made an athletic play to try and toe the line, but not quite there. So Manitoba with the break shot, or a break chance, that is. Pollitt. He finds Mann. Mann's able to move it back to Pollitt. Pollitt puts it up. Daya with the huge bring down. Looking for options, showing a lot of patience. Goes to Mann. And swinging around, Daya's going to outstretch. No. Pollitt makes an effort, but it's not there. Number 27, Bohm, pointing to himself, saying, "That's on me, boys." I'm sorry, that wasn't Pollitt outstretching, but number 5, Everett Noonan, making the last-ditch effort there. So Vortex, another chance for this offensive hold. And a lot of pressure on the catch. Danny, we've talked about sometimes defensively, you don't need to touch it to make a play.
Call that Phantom D. It absolutely matters.
Pollitt. Looks like we have a foul. Oh, I see. I like this one. This is a wrap fouling call. A disc, or a disc space, that is. Disc space, well, you do have to keep a disc length between. If you can draw a straight line between two of the defender's body parts that crosses the plane of the thrower's body, it is a disc space violation. Pollitt looking like he's calling it again.
It's probably more like a contact on the mark. So you could see that Pollitt was trying to pivot here, and that there was kind of significant contact from what we can tell from over here. So the stall count should be dropping to 0 or to 1.
In on 1. Neufeld doing some work. Good dump cut, able to field that high pass. He finds an inside-out shot to Daya. Daya goes around backhand, back to Pollitt. And Pollitt is going to put that in to Manish.
All right, so we are looking at first point of the game, first break of the game. Now, I know a universe loss doesn't exactly make you an underdog, especially when you are the returning champ. However, you still kind of have a little bit of underdog chip on your shoulder vibes, especially if I'm Manitoba, and it's obviously working for them. I know that was their D-line, but they had so many O-line players on that line. So it's unsurprising to me that once they got the block, they were able to put it in. We did see a few turnovers that point, Clay. Do you think that they're feeling the nerves, or do you think that's something that we're going to expect for the rest of this game?
You know, it's a funny way of thinking about nerves. I feel like I've noticed a trend this tournament where in the first few points of the game, it's that energy is bubbling over. It's not so much fear or anxiety. It's actually, trying to stop that runaway diesel engine, just keep it under control. And we're seeing a lot of players getting so excited. Is that a kind of nerves? Well, it could be, right? These players have to learn the type of discipline that it is. Oh, man, I'm actually really excited. My coach likes it when I'm on fire, but I do have to keep myself regulated so I can perform properly, right? So that is something players have to learn. And we've been seeing a lot of turnovers at the beginning of the games due to that. This pole is going to land in the middle of the field kind of low, so Vortex is going to get at least one pass off here. Kinsey directing some traffic. Finds the break cut out of the stack. That is out of bounds, though, thrown too far for Jones. That sideline has been deceptive and causing a lot of turnovers of players just landing out of bounds. Neufeld. Neufeld will put that up to Peterson. And he brings it in after a big effort from McDonald. Peterson celebrating rather, I would say, spicily.
Spicily, for sure. There was definitely a little bit of heat on that. I think whenever you feel like somebody's trying to make a big play on you and you're able to instead come up with a disc. All right, we do have a timeout for Vortex right now, their first of the half. And yeah, as I said, I think if I'm making that reception and somebody who's about to make a big bid does that type of play, that it looked athletic. It looked a little scary.
Yeah, it looked a little scary.
Like if I were on offense, I'd be like, oh God, I'm gonna have to make something big. I do try to get the athletes that I coach to just celebrate with my own team. But you know what? To each their own. Clay, would you say you celebrate with your own team, or do you show it to the other team?
I usually celebrate with my own team.
What do you mean usually?
Well, once in a while I pull out, the Cale Peterson celebration there. So it does make an appearance once in a while as I've grown older. Most goals now, I don't celebrate with anybody. I just put my hands on my knees and just take a moment to myself.
Gasp for dear life.
Well, I think, yep. Wasn't going to say that live, but yes, that's correct.
Did you happen to catch? I didn't, because there was just a lot of excitement happening in the end zone. Did you happen to catch who threw that disc?
I believe that was Neufeld. Who put that out to Peterson.
Spicy, letting my teammates, if I'm Neufeld, letting my teammates make plays and get everyone all hyped up. And I think that is working. I know they rather struggled a little bit at the beginning of the tournament with catching. Like I think in the first game that we streamed, it was of the open division. It was like 10-6 final score, or 10, I don't know, something quite low scoring. And a lot of it was just uncharacteristic drops, kind of like focus errors, maybe nerves, those types of things. And right now we're seeing this Manitoba team making some big plays.
Yeah, we talked to their coach before the beginning of the game, and we said, so what's your strategy this game? And he just said to us, they're just catching the disc now.
It's really that simple.
Yeah, it really is. Manitoba's pull is a good one. Quickly fielded by Vortex, and they send her to Kinsey right away, still looking in that vertical offense. Hernandez looking for options. McDonald looking for a dump to Kinsey, finds him. Immediately lines up dump himself. Kinsey's able to squeak that through the middle low, but it's fielded by Bowering. That big huck. Elevating was Kiza, but my favorite player to say, Ben Katesmi.
Did you confirm that you said it right?
I did not. I'm dying on this hill. But he elevates for that big defensive play.
That was a lot of pressure. I think the Vortex player definitely had space, had that read, but just even having that body there does make that catch really difficult.
Man will put that up. Noonan comes down with it over McDonald, immediately puts it up before he can get up. Van Katesami with the bookends D. Another break for Manitoba. End to end for Azrael Van Katesami. 3-0. Manitoba have not pulled out their O-line yet.
Oh, I mean, I think that they have, but I understand what you're saying. Wow, that was an incredible grab. I think probably a little bit too much contact on that one play, but the fact to be able to take that kind of contact and then be able to make that type of throw right after is incredible. Yeah. So we have just heard from the observer that we are going to be having a dangerous play yellow card on number 9 for Vortex. Again, we kind of noticed a lot of contact there. You saw the player on Manitoba, Newman, actually kind of land a little bit on his back. And so it's in theory, non-contact sport, kind of like a little bit like soccer, basketball light. There's a lot more contact in those sports, but there's definitely not supposed to be that much contact in the sport.
No, one thing that you see a lot of grittiness from Noonan there, that while Jordan McDonald was awarded that yellow card for the dangerous play, too much contact, Noonan did not seem to care. Made that grab, got up, and before McDonald could even get up, threw the goal to Van Katesmi. So good composure by him to play through the contact if he can. I mean, there's schools of thought on that. If you're able to play through, like if he didn't feel he was hurt or anything to play through, even if the other player was playing dangerously, to keep playing and let our observers handle it. That's I think that's some great tactics by him, some great sport mindedness.
Absolutely.
Vertical offense again from Vortex. Hernandez is able to get it up to Kinsey. Petaluna. Finds Hernandez. Looking off some rather open options. Doesn't matter. Is able to find a gain. Figueroa moves that up. Vortex on the doorstep now. Jones puts that up to McDonald, who immediately lets his defender know that he was ahead of him. We are see, Danny. I'm sorry. I have to compose myself right now. There's some dialogue between these teams right now, and I think we're going to see more of it. I know that in this tournament, observers, when I've spoke to them off camera and everything, in the evening, they say, we don't want to insert ourselves, but sometimes we got to make sure that we can have teams keep a lid on it, if you will, and not let their emotions run away too far into some real animosity.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing some what they call in the biz stare downs happening. And as you said, it can get out of control. So we do need to hopefully get these teams to kind of figure that out and just focus on their game. They can win it with their feet. They can win it by just being better. They don't need to win it with that kind of animosity. We do have a score of 3-1. So Vortex is now on defense, going to be pulling to Manitoba. And as we've said all week long, no lead is safe in juniors ultimate.
No, we just saw that in our previous semifinal. Wicked behind the whole game and coming back to beat Vortex women on Universe. That pull fielded by Weeb. Peterson, give go action with Marshall. Marshall did seem to have a bit of a stutter step, and before he threw that, did shuffle forward, and it did give him quite the advantage to get it around 4 defenders there. So a legitimate travel call because there was an advantage gained by that. But Marshall arguing, yeah, but you don't get to catch up to me in front of us here. Observer Dom getting involved, making sure everybody will be in the right spots.
Definitely a bit of a fast break happening here by Manitoba. They still have the person open, but Vortex is able to close that gap.
Marshall puts that out to space. I believe
Rao.
Man did not realize that was for him, even though he had space to go get it. So that cut a little late. Munoz finds a reset. Kiao with the scoop cut to get open on Peterson. Has an upfield toss to Rao. Rao finds Munoz. Right on the sideline. A big up the line cut from Pham. Centering to Kiao. He and Munoz will work it together. Munoz goes up the line with his own scoop cut. Peterson protecting that up the line that Kiao was looking for. Forcing the sideline. Running out of time. Puts it up. But a big Corey Moore just posts up in front of him, using his height to bring that in.
Now, okay, we did say no lead is safe. We're down. We're back to a within 1 point game. We still have Manitoba up a break. But the thing about, even though you're leading and you're winning in this game, you're now a little spooked quite often. So even though, say, the score is 1-0 for Manitoba, it's a very different feeling than having Vortex score 2 in a row to still be up 1 point. So one thing I do want to acknowledge that Manitoba is doing against Vortex, and they were having success early on, was just a change of force. So they were forcing them backhand, because I know that Vortex has had a lot of success with a bit more of their forehand blades in this tournament. And so that adjustment really had a big impact at the beginning. But now it seems like Vortex is making that adjustment.
Yeah, and Vortex showed, I think, really good patience on their movement there and in their handlers. They didn't really take any unnecessary shots. The undercuts they had, cutters coming from the vertical stack on the open side, were pretty wide open. And if they weren't, they were willing to just use some speed in their handler core to reset the disc, making a lot of scoop cuts, right? That is to come down from the stack and then have the defender commit to going straight back and then going up the line. So good handler movement by Vortex. Their pull from Munoz lands out of bounds. Raichura will saunter over to pick it up. Raichura, a big name for Team Manitoba in the handler core. His first go in this game. Zone look from Vortex. Noonan looking for options. Good IO flick to Pollitt. They get it moving around. Peterson was looking to throw to Raichura before he caught the disc, causing a turnover at the brick line. So Vortex has a chance. Danny pointing at her forehead, indicating focus, focus, focus. Munoz finds Petaluna. He goes streaming up the line for Kia, but it's not there. Pollitt, one-on-one D. Manitoba's D has been so good. Raichura is calling stall down. Raichura, take the hand off your head. It's a turnover, man. Let your team run. Maybe showing a little inexperience there, but maybe he really wants the stall down there.
But I think if you've made the call, you've now made a call, and
I guess it's not a play on, is it?
I think you'd have to do a no call signal, which they didn't do.
That's true. Neufeld. Easy dish to Pollitt. That bounces off the hands of number 11, Daniel Mann. He's had a few miscues this game. Munoz. Finds 99. We're going to get his name, which we don't have, but we'll get it for you. He'll put up a big blade. And you can't teach tall. Number 29, Corey Moore, bringing that in, but there seems to be a foul on the.
I think on the upline cut.
I'm really not sure.
There definitely was a foul on the upline cut, but that wasn't involved in the play. So I am curious kind of what's going to happen here.
I think it was Raichur is calling an offensive foul against the thrower.
Like a push off maybe to get the space to get the throw off.
Perhaps.
I did not see. I was watching the very aggressive upline situation happening kind of in front.
Well, both players giving us reenactments.
I love that.
Yeah, just the thing to do in Ultimate Frisbee. If you're not doing or Ultimate, I should say. If you're not doing a reenactment, then you're not arguing a foul call correctly.
Okay, so this is the thing. Everyone always makes fun of reenactments, but sometimes you do actually just need to demonstrate what happened. I'm a visual learner.
Yeah. People describing movements to me doesn't really.
So we're saying this was a foul?
I believe no
was
foul.
A goal?
It's a goal.
It's a goal. Okay. So we have the second goal for Moore in a row. So obviously that's a trusted target. We like being able to throw near them because they're going to catch everything. So we kind of talked about how the Manitoba coach was saying we started catching the Frisbee. And you see that as a team kind of gets a couple breaks, you get a little spooked. And then all of a sudden, the catching is a struggle again. We saw a couple uncharacteristic drops happen. Manitoba just needs to cash one in again just to settle down a little bit. But right now we have ourselves a ball game. It is 3-3. We are back on serve. So already feeling like a classic again. We like close semifinal games. Nothing's worse than a blowout unless you're on the team that's winning. But you can hear the audience. Everyone's getting very, very, very excited in the audience. Vortex, clearly the hometown team. So now we have Vortex is going to be pulling to Manitoba here. As both sidelines are starting to erupt. Vortex clearly bringing a little bit more heat right now at the moment.
Number 99, Subban Arkawal doing a lot of work out there. Just went and got his name for Vortex. So we've got zone defense here from Vortex. Richard starting with the disc, finds Pollitt. Seeing these players with a lot of play time so far. Love that Scuber. One of my favorites, Neufeld.
There's a call, a travel call.
Yeah, travel call, I would think.
I'm not sure which specific player the travel was called on just because there were quite a few passes made kind of in succession. But the way the new travel rules are is that if it's not egregious and there's not a big advantage gained, you're not really supposed to call it. But if there is an advantage gained, like forward momentum and the defense isn't able to catch up, they get an extra step around, for example, they kind of curve a little bit, change speed. Those are legitimate travel calls.
So travel was called on Neufeld. Howes was open. Howes got the disc. So Neufeld will probably look to Howes or swing to Pollitt. I mean, he's got Bohm back. Lots of options for Neufeld. Goes to Howes. I like Howes seeing an open Neufeld, but electing to go break uphill against this zone. Howes goes over the tap to Pollitt. That gives Vortex time to get in there, and they do. Munoz. Didak gets that up to Cow. We've seen Cow, a lot of movement here on the end zone line, pivoting for Petaluna. Along with Munoz, but that sails too far. A big flick around to Noonan. A little give go with Van Katesmi to get the disc moving. Pollitt's there. Pollitt finds a hole to Howes. Howes moves that over to Noonan, working uphill, and that bounces off the hands of Neufeld. Neufeld looking at his hands, wondering what happened. Munoz. Over to Cal, goes off Cal's hand. Noonan's there to put the pressure as that sails out of bounds.
Manitoba really needs to calm down here. Watch that disc right into their hands.
Raichura will pick up. Saw a big flick this time, but a lurking Munoz will put a stop to that. Instead, swings around to Bohm. Manitoba doing a good job here of spreading that field, getting it moving around. I'd like to see quicker movement, or perhaps the disc moving before the cut can set up when they get it to the open side. Pollitt has time. Pollitt lets her rip to Venkatesamy. But out positioning him is Justin Rao. Rao walks the disc up, calls for backup, says, come here, guys, I need help. Munoz. Neufeld putting up a big mark against Munoz. And that cut by Petaluna gets it open, puts it up. Howes bodies out the two big receivers. Gets it to Bohm. Pollitt. Howes. Yeah, that was it. A few too many steps.
Wait, there's a call.
See,
That being
that's
said, a travel call, you're just supposed to go back, and it's not supposed to be a stoppage anymore, correct?
That's correct. And I think Howes is arguing, I did what you wanted. I kept playing. There is no stoppage. So I think Howes is arguing at the very least that Pollitt should have it. Saw this actually happen in their other game where in their pool play, actually, Manitoba brought it to the brick. And as soon as they got it to the brick, they just started playing, and then Vortex stopped and said, you have to tap it in with us. And they're like, no, we don't. And Manitoba was actually correct, but Vortex came away with that one. So
Really? Were there no observers in that game?
No. Yeah.
But I am confused why maybe they didn't go back to the right spot.
I don't know if there was a ground check, which there does have to be when you move around. Neufeld to Venkatesamy. Has Howes. He looks it off. I like that. That was a small pocket to make a play. Neufeld getting it back, looking around for Pollitt, not there. Pollitt up the line. Neufeld goes around the outside to Raichura. Neufeld, deep vertical stack. He has no handlers back with him, so this has to be on one-on-one that Howes wins for that reset. Looks off. Noonan
travel.
Wasn't quite. Yeah, he looked like he stumbled a bit. Could have been a travel. Pollitt. He's going to put that out to Howes. Gets his foot down while he's laid out. The presence of mind by Max Howes to be what he looked like he was going to land on the line to put that right toe onto the ground before he hits the sideline.
Okay. That was an incredible play. I mean, we're right here on that sideline, and it was hard to tell. The observer's right there. They make the call immediately. And I just, the athleticism to be able to keep that disc in bounds is incredible. I also just think Howes was the MVP of that point.
Yeah, he was doing so much work. He made so many good choices to not try and punch it into the end zone in really tight spots. He did that layout in my head. I'm like, oh, that's out. Oh, wait. And seeing that turf kick up from his toes. I mean, yeah, Howes just took over that point.
I would love to see that in slow motion. I know that we have some cameras around here, but I don't know if there's any video in that specific corner.
Yeah.
Nathan Kolakovic, where are you at?
Yeah. Media captain Sarah Eady, if you could just get that replay up for us, please. No, just kidding. Don't have that for you this time. Putting Sarah on the spot.
One thing that I do want to talk about, because I've seen it a lot this tournament, I've even seen it in this game, is that some people think, like, I know we're talking a lot about travels, but a lot of players think that they need to stop as quickly as possible. And it's true, you need to stop within reason, within like safe reason. But a lot of people like drag their 1 foot behind them and try to stop immediately. And it actually ends up being almost like dangerous for their knees, for example. I wish I could demonstrate. Maybe I should run into the middle of the field and demonstrate. But like, you're allowed to take some steps to slow down safely and then establish your pivot foot. But if you watch a lot of newer players play, they like jam their foot into the ground. And I'm actually surprised to see a couple people do that here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about, of almost like slamming on the brakes, if you will. And you don't need to. You are allowed. if you need to slow down as fast as you like. I think maybe there's a discrepancy between I will take more than 3 steps if I'm running full tilt to slow down. It's just not going to happen. So I slow down as reasonably as I can and set my pivot. I think we see a lot of players here go, 3 steps only, and just as hard as they can.
Exactly.
But they're juniors and bendy, so all their tendons and ligaments are fine. Kinsey finds McDonald. He has an easy flip in the front of the stack. Vortex working it up now. Jones finds Figueroa. He gets an up the line cut from Hernandez. Hernandez showing some patience, now looking reset. But another scoop cut. Kinsey now. That throw a little high. Daya's able to field it. Chilly energy now from Manitoba. Good to see on D-line. Man fakes that huck. And his break, Daya elevates to grab it. Minish. Looks like we have a little collision.
There's some people being a little bit upset on the field. I think they didn't quite see each other. Maybe there was a little bit of a clip as people are clearing downfield a little bit. So they're a little upset with each other. I will not translate what is being said on the field.
Turnover. Retracted stall count. Kinsey asking his stack to come closer, recognizing that they've been too deep. Smart quarterbacking by him. Harding. Wong working with Figueroa. He's able to find McDonald. McDonald puts it over the top for number 13, Kiza. But I don't know if Kiza was the intended receiver, Danny. And the wind kind of picking up that edge that was tilted into the wind or up into the wind.
Yeah, just a bit too edgy.
Minish finds Daya. Siddiqui. Man. Finds Minish. Man again. Finds Siddiqui. Seeing some really good cycling here from Manitoba. Going deep, coming right back under, and a little bit of a miscue from Daya, turfing that disc. Kinsey picks up and sends it. But that will sail too far for Spencer Wong.
We're seeing both teams elect for a lot of backhand force here, which I'm sure is just a product of free scouting. And also, like, people, even at the top club level, people are just a little bit less familiar with it. So they're so used to cutting to a particular side that it actually does just challenge a team's offense regardless.
Yeah, you don't see it a lot. People tend to think that everyone's worse at a flick.
Well, this is a flick force now. So they switched the force.
Oh, great D. An injury. It looks like an injury. Now, Siddiqui making a great second effort off that defensive effort from the Vortex player.
Making the hard catches.
Making the hard catches. That was really good, D. I mean, just elevating from
D.
that player. We're just going to see who that is, give credit where credit is due momentarily.
Yeah, if it is Kiza, who I think it is, he's very athletic. Let me look at your number. I'm getting a nod from Janice Stumla behind me. Very athletic player. Was at the U20 prospect camp. So I'm unsurprised that they're making a play like that.
Jeffrey Kiza climbing the ladder. He will sub off. And Petaluna will come on, who's made an impact in this game. Siddiqui will also take a sub as Raichura comes on. A good choice, Raichura, this close to the end zone when you're allowed to have that complimentary sub. You're at the brick mark. Let's get one of your main handlers who quarterbacks that offense and that vertical stack end zone into the game.
Absolutely.
With the disc. He's not seeing anything in the stack. Looks to Man for a reset. Man with the jab step, fools his defender, goes right up the line. Man will look back to Raichura. Raichura tries his own few jab steps. Man doesn't take it. He's fouled by McDonald.
Probably going to be uncontested.
McDonald goes straight to the observer. I will just give you my hot take right now. I completely disagree with McDonald on this one.
On the defender.
Yeah, on the defender. Yeah, the defender stepped into that. He was moving.
A good mark is moving. So you don't ever want to admit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You're not a good mark if you're standing still, but if you are moving. Observer ruling it is a foul, so the stall count will come in on 1. Man. Gets Raichura. Raichura made a really great spin move. Was going to be open at the back, but Man has had trouble connecting on his flicks this game and turfs that one. Kinsey will bring the disc up. Calls an audible. Correa can't stop the around as Hernandez has the disc. In the back of his end zone, though, Petaluna. Manitoba playing real clamp in the end zone here. And a big athletic play to knock that down. Raichura.
Well, that was Hernandez with the D there to get that going.
Now, I believe.
Oh, sorry. I made that mistake.
Oh, that's okay. But Correa with the goal.
Manish.
And Manish with the D to set that goal up for Correa. Just getting an update. Sorry, I was a little distracted. In our other Junior Open semifinal game, we've got Dino against Ignite. Dino from BC, one of the top seeds in the tournament, against Ignite, another top seed. The score in that, and Ignite from Ottawa, the score in that game, 5-4 for Dino.
Oh, another barn burner like we have here. One thing that I noticed on this point that both teams are doing, but I think Manitoba is doing it just a tad better in the reset space, are a bit of a slower jab steps / fakes in the reset space. So they pretend to go up line and then they come back field, but slower. They drop their shoulder, they use their head on that fake, and that's actually having the defender bite a lot more often. So if you kind of rewind this game later on and you go back to kind of one of these cuts near the end zone, you'll see this happen. And everyone seems to think that the faster you cut, the faster you fake, the faster you jab step, the better. But sometimes if it's too fast, the defense doesn't even have a chance to react to it. They're still going in the original direction and it might not work. So you actually see some of these Manitoba handlers do that up line and back slower, really bringing their shoulders and their head down, and the defender bites and they're getting open up line.
They want commitment.
Don't
commitment.
we all want?
We
no,
all
not everybody
want
wants commitment, but that's okay. I'm a commitment girl.
An offside called on the defense, and you can choose to accept it or play on. If you let the disc fall to the ground, you can accept it. So they bring it to the brick mark. Vertical offense. Jones looking for a reset. Oh, and a massive D by Daya, but he did get tangled up with Hernandez.
I think Hernandez is probably going to say that they thought that they also had it. It was pretty hard to see from this angle, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a strip call, but we are definitely hoping that this player is going to be okay.
Yeah, kind of a tough twisting motion on that.
Yes.
So we'll wait to see. Is okay. Coaches are out there right away. Players are bringing water. We've got our observers, Bern and Tom, just having a discussion about.
What do you think they're talking about? How their day's gone? Or?
Yeah, maybe what cap time they'll do halftime.
Are we getting close to that? No.
Do you still have some cards? Have you done a red card this tournament? Have you hit the bingo card?
No, I've only seen a yellow.
Yeah.
And I've only been given one blue. So.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You were marking me way too close.
Anyway, so got ourselves a very, very exciting semifinal game here. Sounds like both semifinals are kind of within 2 points of each other, which we love. We love seeing all of these athletes. Well, they're putting in literally everything they've got on the line, and it makes my body hurt a little bit watching them play.
It does. Die will go off.
Walks off on their own,
Walks
which is
off
good.
on his own, yeah. And man comes on. He'll have possession, so it looks like there was no actual
strip call.
So, yeah, no infraction caused. That was just the bang bang play resulting in an injury. And finds Bohm. They do a little give go. Continue it. Bohm right up the line. Climbs the ladder. Looks back to man. He gets it around. He looks off. A few passes. Will stick with Bohm, who works very hard to get that reset. Minish. Pointing. He sees a hole, but the problem was when he pointed, everybody saw it. He turns to his coaches right away saying, yep, that was me. That was me.
Good little help D off of the stack there, but then good awareness by Vortex to hit the open player.
Hogan finds Petaluna. Petaluna will put that up. We've seen this big flick huck from them all week, but Siddiqui just out positions his receiver, gets it to Peterson, and that just on the wrong shoulder of Correa. So Vortex here just outside of the brick mark with a shot. Pelican has Petaluna. And he puts that straight out to a receiver. And there we see this a lot, Danny, in vertical stacks. You never want to be cutting on 0 degrees because your defender can get you on that angle.
Absolutely. That's Siddiqui's second block kind of within a 1 minute time period.
Man, right up the line. Peterson keeps going for him. Able to muss out his receiver, does a little stare down, thought he was in. Man. He'll get that around to Minish. Back to man. We've seen a lot of give-go handler core action here from Manitoba. Siddiqui off the front of the stack. Finds Bohm. Back to man. And Peterson able to get that kind of popped up backhand from man, but turns on the brakes and grabs that just over his head. The score now, Manitoba 6, Vortex 3.
Now, I don't know how much opinioning we're supposed to have. Give me the thumbs up if I'm allowed to have an opinion.
You can have an opinion. I don't know if you should talk about it.
Ugh.
But you know what? Maybe I'll break the ice
Maybe on the
here.
Hucking A podcast, I'll talk about my opinion about something that has happened.
I'll give you one thing. I like to tell players I want to let you play. On the other hand, I might be saying to Peterson, if I'm his coach, dude, you're feeling it. You're feeling how well you're playing. You just muscled the guy out. You're going to turn around like that and waste 2 stalls when you're not in the end zone. I'm not a huge fan of that.
So that's my opinion.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it for you, so you don't have to take her.
Nobody come for me in the comments. Yes, we had just recently coached U24 at Worlds, and sometimes you get excited, and we had some stare downs kind of happening with our team too. It's normal. You get really excited. It's kind of like that culture. You see that a lot in basketball and stuff. So if a lot of players play basketball or other sports, you'll kind of see that, especially if it feels like a really personal matchup, a really physical matchup. I understand, but I always tell my players, no more.
And for me, it's a tactical thing. You are wasting stalls when you do that.
Right.
You know, I don't want to tell a player, hey, stop being in your best possible headspace to play like a baller. Okay. Like I don't want them to stop doing that.
Within the realms of spirit though.
Yeah. Within the realms of spirit, I'll let you, jump in the shark infested waters for that one. I'm sticking with tactics. That is my line in the sand.
Catch me on the next episode of the Hucking A podcast. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this player. I'm a fan of their 5 million brothers that have also played on MoFo. They've all been really good. Sorry, Team Manitoba. They've been really, really great all the time.
So, Paul hanging for quite a while. Allows Manitoba to get right down on defense. That throw is a scooper. It hangs a long time. Wong able to collect it. He'll put up a floaty one. And number 14, Berekett Burrell, able to kind of muscle out, but with any muscling out to make a defensive play, you might expect a foul call. And Savannah Agrivar did call a foul. Burrell doesn't like it. So they're having a discussion. Observer Byrne in there. We've been saying this a lot, and we just really want people to know Observer is not trying to put themselves in it right away. Instead, they're trying to hear the conversation by getting that close, because then if the players do ask them something, they have context and don't have to get a whole recap and keep the game moving. So looks like Burrell will go to the Observer. Observer ruling, no foul. Manitoba will get the disc on one.
Let it be known, if you're on defense, I'm going to say this for the 5,000th time. If you're on defense and you believe that you are correct, go to the Observer. That's what they're there for.
Pollitt. Gets a reset from Weeb. Pollitt. Oh, that big flick huck. Almost brought down by Burrell. He'll call a foul. I think he feels that Agrivar came over the top of his head to make that D, stifling his jump.
It's hard to know because both players were kind of backing up. So I am curious. We're hearing the audience cheering that was clean, probably completely unbiased. Just the hometown crowd. But we have observers, so.
And Burrell will get that. So the Observer ruling that it was a foul. Finds Cornelson. Pollitt's there. It's a shallow throw, but Pollitt eats it up. He'll put that out, but number 14, Tyler Jones, saves the day. He was right there. But number 26, Hayden Davis, called a foul, I believe.
This
Danny,
one's tough.
This one is a tough one. So
I also don't think that 14 needed for there to be contact. Like, I think that disc was going to get missed. I think they had position, but there's a lot of contact after.
A lot of contact after. I mean,
I'd have to rewatch it to make sure that my eyes saw it right. It happened so quickly, but I feel like it should have been a turnover, but there was substantial contact.
And as we know, any substantial contact in a defensive play, if that contact can be avoided and it's major,
it's non-minor.
It's non-minor, excuse me, and it's non-minor. That is a foul regardless of when the defensive play on the disc actually happens. While we're waiting, in our other semifinal, there's a 2-point lead. Dino with 7, Ignite 5. We are passing our 45-minute mark, and that is where we add one to the highest score and go to half. So that game could be in half, or it might be taking half at 8 as per usual.
It's kind of taking a while for this one to resolve, which I'm surprised at because we do have observers. Oh, they're now making a rule, or they're not making a rule. It's a foul. Observer ruling, no foul. So you see the observers when they're gone to for an opinion or for them to give their perspective or a ruling, they'll touch their shoulders before they make their signal to make the rule, which they rolled no foul. And now the cheers are cheering I like orange, so the observer's getting some love. Again, not biased, not at all.
Yeah, Enerson's going to take a sub as Noonan comes in. Looks like one of our Manitoba coaches realized one of his players was struggling and took him off there. Or at least suggested you may want to take an injury. Looks like Enerson was hurting a little bit, but didn't want to call it.
You don't ever want to sub off, even though it might even be what's best.
Yeah. Vortex on their end zone line. Figueroa is able to sail that out. There's a pick call, which I believe won't affect anything.
It's a pick, but kind of like a weird pick foul type situation. They just kind of collided in the.
Yeah.
I mean, you do need to call it because you're now going to be out of position on a potential fast break. But I don't think it had an impact on the play.
No, I agree. Dave is saying, "Hey, I can't stay in this play if I don't make this call." There was an infraction. It's
Pick retracted. But getting the disc to go back and giving them a chance to kind of regroup.
I mean,
makes a lot of sense to
practically
me.
the result he needed.
Yeah.
So players making sure. Okay, so he catches up as if there were a pick. So Agravar has the disc. Everybody seems happy. And we're back in. Agravar looking for options, is going to go for a dump to Kinsey. Kinsey immediately puts out that big flick blade. Burrell puts his hands up. We're seeing some big, gritty bumping here, Danny, on any of our receptions where the disc is higher than 10 feet.
Yeah, again, that they would not have been able to catch that disc. Again, it matters whether there's significant contact or not.
Foul, no contest, so some good spirit there by Burrell.
Agreed.
So Wong is going to get the disc. Wong looking for options, has a flick break. It sails too high for Kiao. Danny, we've seen that OI flick just not connecting on the far side of the field all tournament. Pollitt with the big fake. Has Neufeld around. That's off his hands. Cornelsen can't come up with it either. Agravar saying, chill out. Kinsey calling for the disc, telling him to take it. I'm hearing a loud timeout call from the sideline. Kinsey doesn't need it. There is a foul call from Neufeld against Petaluna. So,
now, if you hear the crowd cheering that they like orange, I just wonder in what sport does the crowd cheer for the officials? I feel like that must feel pretty strange.
You know, I can't think of
I can't imagine. Okay, ruling it was a foul by the observers, so disc is back with Kinsey.
Kinsey finds a reset to Figueroa, and he's got a player in the back waving the hands. He tries to flick around to it. Danny, this is discipline that I had to learn when I was young. Just because someone is waving their hand saying throw to me doesn't mean as a thrower you have to.
I know, you get excited. We need to be extra composed near the end zone.
Noonan. Finds Davis, but something is happening downfield. Cornelsen and Jones working it out together. There was some sort of pick.
Observers really earning their pay in this game. They've been used quite a bit. There has been a lot of calls. And having calls does not necessarily mean bad spirit. A lot of people seem to think that when there's not a lot of calls in a game, it's a good-spirited game. It's not necessarily true.
Pollitt finds Cornelsen. It's off Cornelsen's hands, but Burrell's there to clean it up. Pollitt airs that out to Noonan. Noonan picking a path where he can box out Agravar. Agravar did seem to find the line, but Noonan just inches him out.
Wow, that was a real grind of a point. This game feels like it might be starting to slip away from Vortex at the moment. Clay's touching my shoulder. It makes me feel like
number 5 from Vortex just walked over to Observer Burn. That was Didac and signaled spirit timeout, the upside down T, asking for one. So that's a good call. Manitoba coaches just checking in. Is that what they'd like? They're saying yes, it is a spirit timeout. We've been told the clock does stop. the game clock does stop. So
I don't know if I've seen this happen too often. It's like, I think this is pretty rare. Then they're having a spirit timeout. Are they going to talk to each other?
often what they'll do, like what I saw yesterday was then the captains came over, or spirit captains came over with the observers, with the coaches, and had a discussion. And this allowed the teams to kind of voice to each other what was going on. And then after that, kind of circled up together and had a big discussion about it. The one spirit circle we did see come on the stream lasted for about 10 to 15. Well, not the spirit circle itself, but the spirit timeout lasted 10 to 15 minutes. I think this demonstrates by both teams that they don't necessarily want that ticky-tacky, calling style where we're getting into the nitty-gritty rules. The score at 6-3 game I wouldn't call over, but it's 7-3, excuse me. I wouldn't call over. Yes, that goal was 7. So maybe it's a good time just to try and avoid that contact.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty rare to see this. I think it's a special part of our sport that when we feel like maybe it's getting a little bit out of hand, players or coaches can kind of take it, or even observers, I've heard about that yesterday, can kind of take it into their own hands to try to like regain control over the game, kind of get the pace of the game to kind of go back to a place where everyone feels safe and everyone feels kind of good about kind of how everyone's competing. So we do we're going to be kind of getting close to, I would assume, half's at 8 regardless, but we're definitely within half cap, so we're playing half to 8. This might not be a type of game where we get to our final score cap based on kind of on the pace, but we do see the players now coming together. We do know that the spirit timeout does actually stop the time, and so this won't actually interfere with kind of how the length of the game. Will be adding this time to the end. We're about to hear from our observers, so we'll get right back to you after a quick break.
Just had a little chat with our observers, Dom Saint-Jacques and observer Bradbury, who I've been calling the Burn.
It's Brian Bradbury.
Brian Bradbury.
The Burn.
The Burn.
Oh, I love that.
They just came over to us and told us that, yes, indeed, the clock is stopped for the spirit timeout. However, it can only be stopped for a maximum of 5 minutes, and then it starts to run again. So they can add 5 to the game clock. So this game's hard cap if we get there, because it is hard cap. It's the horn goes off, finish the point, finish the game,
right,
unless it's resulting in a time. Yeah, we're going to go right to noon. The spirit timeout was called by Vortex. Bradbury letting us know that it was due to a lot of physicality. I didn't catch the other reason.
And the stare downs.
And the stare
downy
downs.
stuff that's happening. It is a bit one-sided that way. Okay, so another thing that I've noticed in this game, Clay, that is something that I think is, we actually saw Wicked West in the last semifinal kind of demonstrate this in a positive way, where showing composure in these big moments. One thing that I'm noticing is that these teams are getting really amped up and really excited, and they're not able to emotionally regulate as they get close to the end zone. And I think that like making riskier choices when you have lots of field to work with is great. Like, I'm a big fan of some of these deep looks that are coming up. We might not be connecting on a lot of them, but they are often getting a turn right away, and now they've gained a lot of yards. But one thing that I would like to see from both teams is a bit more composure near the end zone. I think that they're making risky choices. The stack isn't adjusting in terms of their spacing, and so it's not clear who's cutting. They're not committing to their cuts. They're not kind of necessarily all trusting in each other, and it's creating a little bit of chaos. It's creating a little bit of double cutting and maybe a lot of physicality.
Yeah, I agree. A little bit of disorganization can breed a little bit of chaos. But we're off again. Hernandez looking for a reset. Kinsey hanging out in the back. Instead, he'll find Jones. Jones up to McDonald. McDonald sends that straight down the line. And I believe that's Siddiqui or Daya reading it. They have the same hat. I'll let you know in a second. It was Siddiqui. Boom. Had Manish, but that pressure from Hernandez causes him to drop it. And Vortex on the doorstep here. Kinsey will pick up. And Jones wins that foot race. No infractions. That's a goal for Vortex. The score 7-4.
I love that. Very clear who was cutting. Made a nice long cut all the way to the end zone. And we have Vortex getting back on the board, which is awesome. One thing that I noticed is that even though, I kind of mentioned this briefly, but even though they are not necessarily connecting on these deep shots, I think the majority of the time it's been a net positive. So even though that deep shot, I believe it was from McDonald, did not connect on that line, there was an immediate turn. And even though that's not necessarily like Vortex putting on pressure to create that turn, it's still happening and it's still working. So I think maybe 4 out of the last 5 hucks haven't been completed, but there've been an immediate turn and then like a punch in opportunity. And so it's not that I think they should be imploring a huck and pin style of offense, but it seems to kind of be working.
Yeah, don't be afraid to take the shots, perhaps.
So, yes, exactly. So we do have halftime in the other game. The score is 8-5, Dino over Ignite. So a kind of similar storyline to what we're seeing here on this field right now.
Neufeld will pick up. He'll find Reichura and Pollitt's back with them. That standard handler core for this game from Manitoba, seeing a zone look from Vortex. A little cheeky pass up to Reichura. Reichura is able to get it into the middle to Man. Man swings that around to Noonan. And has a wide open Reichura, but the pass is kicked up in the air. Noonan looks at his toes, knows he had that, and just had a lapse in execution. And Manitoba really had no trouble with that zone, but on that air, Vortex's zone defensive line will get a shot. Munoz puts that forward to Kiao. Kiao makes a great grab. Man thought it was down, but it was not. Neufeld unable to get around Rao.
Timeout being called. And you could see we had, I believe it was McDonald kind of in the end zone saying, or not McDonald, rather, it was more signaling that they wanted a timeout. I have talked about this before. I feel like he got one-on-one. If I've got someone like Moore in the end zone, one-on-one, I'm going to like that a little bit better than setting up an end zone. But we have talked about how emotional regulation near the end zone has been an issue. So I understand. Doesn't mean I have to like it, but I understand.
Yeah.
If I see 29, if I see Moore there, I'm going to be like, oh, here you go. Saw some nice floaty pass, but I don't hate the choice here. Clay, how do you feel about it?
No, I think I agree with you saying that emotional regulation. Sometimes throwers feel too under this pressure. You know, in my history this season, I turn this over a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I would be a lot more confident, and I'd feel my team has a better shot at keeping the disc if I have a proper offensive set. Okay. And maybe that's not how that player's feeling. I know I've had that situation where I'm like, yeah, there is a one-on-one. My captain came over. He gave me, you know, some trouble for it. Why didn't you throw the one-on-one? And I just said, because I'd probably turn it over. And they said, well, if you're choosing to value the disc over everything, I can't be mad at you for that, right? And then maybe your team has to work harder to get the goal, but you know what? You still have possession.
Yeah, it's true. But somebody did do some stats on it, and
it's better not to, isn't it?
It's better not to. Yeah. There's a high percentage, higher percentage that people found that people would turn it over 80% up to off of a timeout.
an injury taken by Manitoba allows Vortex to switch in, and they put Kinsey in for Rao, which is huge because Kinsey has been this pivot handler for Vortex, and he's 5 yards outside of the end zone. So a big advantage given to Vortex, not on purpose, obviously, but this sure helps.
And it works out for them.
Kiao, jab, 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 goal. Those quick steps, shakes his defender, and Vortex gets the break. 2-point game, Danny. We are now at 7-5.
Now, a pretty clutch substitution. Kinsey's been playing Ultimate for a really long time. Just got to call the Vortex semi for the women's division, and Kinsey's sister was playing in that game as well. Those kids were basically born with Frisbees in their hands, and so it doesn't surprise me that he's able to walk on the field and punch that in. He was, okay, story time?
Sure.
Story time. So I've been coaching Kinsey since maybe he was in grade 3 or something like that. And he's always been this kid that would show up and just like lay out block people as like he was tiny.
Right.
And it was crazy. So we'd invite him to our high school hat tournaments, and he was half the size of everybody else. And they're like, who's this little kid? And he would just like fly and lay out block them. And he just became like a goat within the Vancouver community. And now it's so weird seeing him like actually playing with people his age. It's been pretty exciting and heartwarming for me. So I'm a proud coach.
It's a lovely story time, Danny.
Story time. I got so many. I'm keeping them bottled up for now.
This pole bouncing just on the end zone line, centered to Raichura. Man, looking for options, finds Raichura through this Vortex zone. Raichura will go back to man. Pollock goes up the line. It's hanging. Petaluna almost there. Van Katesamy picking up Pollock's throw that was very low. That is the hardest throw in Ultimate. A player running by at full speed and then having to laterally meet them at 90 degrees. Such a difficult thing to do. I don't think we realize as players how hard that is sometimes. Results in a turnover. Munoz has Rao. And Rao sees an open Palogan who was calling for it, and then an execution error on the doorstep. Danny hiding her face, just feeling the pain of that one.
The drama, Clay. The drama.
Okay, so we're going to have a call here. Peterson staring down a little bit, but then you might understand. I think he was checking on him, and then he gives him a high five. He knows it wasn't on purpose, but we do have a yellow card come out from Observer Saint-Jacques. And yeah, you're right. I think Peterson was checking up on him. You're right. I spoke too soon there. I'm sorry, Mr. Peterson.
Apologize to him. He can hear you.
Raichura to man. Pollitt working hard to give man that reset. He'll find Van Katesamy in the middle, or on the sideline, excuse me. Van Katesamy will punch an IO to get it around. Peterson moving it all the way to Weeb. Weeb can float that out for Man, who's all alone. Man can take his time. And Pollock goes right up the line for Man. Winnipeg coaches, hit him, hit him. And Man elects to do so for the hold for Manitoba, putting us at 8-5, which will bring us into halftime.
I just want to acknowledge that's, I think, Man's third assist, and that's Paulette's first goal of the game, but I think Paulette's also had 3 assists. So these two players showing up big time right now. I do feel like that Spirit timeout actually did have a positive impact on this game, and I want to acknowledge Vortex for showing a lot of leadership in that regard, because the game is still, I mean, we did see a yellow card, but the energy feels different.
The energy feels different. You're right. Peterson turned around, gave his man a high five after that, realized that wasn't a purposeful hit or coming from any place of, animosity. So the tone has changed a little bit. We'll see what the tone's like in the second half, Danny. We're going to take a break and be back with you shortly. Welcome back, Ultimate fans, to our Junior Open Division semifinal between Surrey's Vortex, the hometown team, and the reigning champions team, Manitoba. The score in this game, 8-5, and our intrepid reporter, Theo Wan, letting us know that in the other semi, 11-6 for Dino over Ignite right now. Danny, you want to have a quick word about strategy as we start this half?
Well, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but right now we do kind of have the battle of the Cinderella stories. We have our hometown heroes, Vortex, and the team that went 0-3, defending champions, back from the brink of destruction.
Manitoba having no problem moving this disc through the zone quickly. Raichura now, who's had a lot of composure with the disc, is able to swing it around to Peterson. Back to Raichura. Raichura is looking for that quick flip. Hearing that coaching to get it off the sideline. He's got a few options. Takes his time for a step around to Marshall. Marshall finds Pollitt. Pollitt, a big pass to Venkatesamy to Howes as Manitoba breaks through this zone. They still hold it, though. Vortex still holds this zone. Pollitt to Marshall. Peterson to Mann. Back to Peterson. Lots of quick movement from Team Manitoba. Hearing calls from the Team Manitoba coaches, stay patient, looking good, stay patient. Raichura hits that to Pollitt. Raichura, melt call from Vortex as they get into match defense. Marshall with the save. Peterson. Middle of the field, elects to go open side around to Raichura, who has a great break and immediately does to Mann. Mann has some options. That fake sells his defender, and he is wide open. Wants the give go with Raichura as he has room. Raichura is going to look break here. Called it. Mann finds Peterson in the middle. He picks that disc up off the turf, flips it to Raichura. Raichura doesn't like the look to Venkatesamy, looking for other options. Finds Mann again. Raichura taking advantage of the face guard and just says, throw it to me. Mann just outside of the end zone. And Raichura with a little jump cut. Hard to read which direction he's going to go. Whoa, some quick movement and just some good old handler-centered offense to get that disc in for the goal. The score, 9-5, Manitoba.
So you'll often see at this level the fakes be either awesome or not awesome. And even though, like, I think that one big fake didn't have like a, if you flick your wrist, it makes it a lot more believable that you might actually throw it. It was a big enough fake. You saw that Mark absolutely lay out to try to stop that throw. And now that defender is completely out of position. So then we saw Manitoba getting that kind of quick, fast break up the line. Vortex did a great job of working to roll or to switch their defenders there. But then Manitoba being smart. A lot of times you'll see when they do that switch, that reset who threw and then now is open up line will just keep cutting up line into that new defender. But we saw the player on Manitoba actually just stop right in the middle. And that's like a high IQ thing that I was very, very impressed with this Manitoba team. Also, it felt like they were kind of going almost a little too quick at the beginning.
Yep.
And then they calmed it down and made a lot of really, really great choices.
Yeah, we sitting at the table here had a few times where our hands went up thinking, oh, that was too tight and going to be a turnover. But I should mention that Brian Bradbury, Observer, came over to me and just let me know that after the Spirit timeout, both teams agreed that they would extend this game by 2 minutes. So our hard cap is going to be at 11:57.
Interesting. I wonder how they came up to 2 minutes.
Vertical set offense by Vortex. They've stuck with this throughout the whole game. A high stall count throw over the top. Great athletic grab out to a huck, but the wind will push that one down. So Hernandez hitting the turf to save it, but his throw just no good. Number 4, Angelo Figueroa. I didn't even see him coming, Danny. I was ready to say something, and then the big layout block.
That's not his first time either. He's made a lot of plays this game like that. It just absolutely flies.
Kinsey finds Hernandez. And he'll get that around to Kiza. Donald able to edge his check out. And that will be grabbed by Jones. The score for Manitoba 9, Vortex 6.
We're seeing McDonald and Jones kind of getting on the scoreboard 3 times each. So very high impact players. We are unsurprised. We kind of knew that coming in. One thing that I'm noticing, Clay, and I don't know what your personal philosophy is as a player or as a coach, but a lot of times we do get these strike plays or this like a huck play. And then you kind of mentioned a couple points ago where the next player is just streaking past. You catch a huck, then the next person is streaking past. That leady pass gets turned over all the time. I know you mentioned it. So do you have a specific thing that as a thrower, say you just caught it deep and now you are the thrower, that you want from that cutter to make that a surefire thing?
That I want, yeah, actually. And it is that make a cut under or stop. Just make my life easy. If you're that open and you don't have a check, I don't need to lead you that far. Or as you're going past me, make a cut sideways. You can go at an angle. If you're all alone, you can do it sideways into the end zone, but give me a far easier angle to throw to. If you're running super fast and I have to put perfect placement to meet you, I don't want that. I want it to air it out where I know there's a huge pocket where you can receive it.
Or even a dump.
Even a dump.
Meet it right back.
Pollitt looking for resets, working hard to get it through the cup, finds Peterson, who plays a give-go with Neufeld. Peterson, finding a way to get that through the cup. Mann finds Peterson. Neufeld finds Mann to House. Raichura on the sideline now. We'll find Mann in the middle. Mann's happy with Raichura's placement. They do a give-go to get it back to Mann in the middle. Pollitt outstretching to get that catch. Mann in the middle. I'll stop. I'm sorry. House will put that up to Pollitt. Some clinical handler movement through a zone by Manitoba. Gives them the hold. We're seeing a lot of trading here. Danny, the tone of this game has certainly shifted.
That's Pollitt's 5th time being on the scoreboard.
Wow.
I also just really like that throw. I know that there was 2 receivers kind of going to that same space, but we saw House take an extra second before throwing it and really make sure to get that edge right and get it to tuck right into the receiver. That's just you can sense that the tone and the vibe on the field feels a little bit more composed, kind of on both sides of the disc.
I'd agree. And a lot more, I'm hearing what was interesting at that point is that handler core of Manitoba was talking to each other in a very, how should I put this? Business-like meeting style. They weren't yelling at each other. They weren't calling for it. They're like, yep, go over there. No, I like it when you're behind me there. Yep, go stand over there. Sure, hit me when I'm over. And it seemed kind of professional and at the same time kind of really calm. And I was just thinking, you're not used to hearing such planned, deliberate, and calm instructions on the field. They're usually a little bit more forceful. So really interesting to see that shift from the Manitoba offense.
It makes a big difference when people feel your frantic energy as a thrower. It makes it a lot harder to make a really accurate, calm, composed pass.
Enerson's pull fielded by Hernandez, and he flips it to Kinsey immediately. Vortex sticking with what they know. Agravar comes out of the vertical. Kinsey finds Figueroa. Doesn't like his upfield options. Looks to dump. Kinsey makes a move. That throws out far for Kinsey. He makes up the ground. He'll find Hernandez. Back to Kinsey in the middle. McDonald will air that one out. That's going to float. And Vortex able to elevate. I believe that was Spencer Wong or Kyle Pelican.
Yeah, I can't quite see the number. But that was good composure because the defender was right there. But that player, mystery player, was able to box out and make sure that they maintain possession. Confirmed Pelican was the one with the score there.
Score 10-7. Our cap is coming down at 11:57. That's in 5 minutes. So we've got 5 minutes to cap. Is this a game Vortex can still win? I think it is. They have to score fast. They need to score 2 points very quickly. If they can keep it within 1, the idea is that if they're playing a point down when the horn goes and then scores, that would create a tie and then force universe. So they need to get themselves within 1 point in the next 4 minutes, which is going to be
It's not impossible.
Not impossible, but very difficult. That pull hangs and will land near center. Vortex in a zone, hoping the conditions will generate a quick turnover, but this Manitoba offense has shown that they've had a pretty clinical approach to zone O. Peterson saving that one. Ritura to Peterson, Peterson to Noonan. Noonan's going to look to go right back, but instead has Mann for a gain. Mann works hard to get through the cup and center the disc. Neufeld finds Mann. Manitoba just working this offense. Neufeld just outside of the end zone. He'll flip that to Howes. Howes has the goal. 11-7. Clinical offense by Manitoba. And now, Danny, 4 points down. Cap going in 3 minutes.
It's looking tough.
It's looking tough. And they may not need it, but just for the sake of mentioning possible gamesmanship here, I believe Manitoba has not used all their timeouts this half.
Have they used any?
I don't think so.
Manitoba coaches, this is a PSA. Slow this down. Save your legs. Because you don't need to score to win this game.
There
either.
are some that like to adhere to the code of honor that unless it's really, really tight, you don't call the timeout.
I think that's untrue. As a coach, there's only so many ways that you can impact the game, and a timely timeout to rest some players, to slow down the game is one of the ways. It's within strategy. It is not unspirited. I've definitely had a situation where I was actually coaching Vortex back in the day, and I called a timeout 5 minutes before the cap even went off. And you're also allowed to call timeouts in cap.
Yep.
5 minutes before the cap went off, I had the entire sideline of the other team's parents yelling at me, telling me I was cheating. I was trying to slow down the clock, but I also wanted to call a play. We called a play out of the timeout. We scored, and we ended up winning the game. And I was thinking afterwards, like, was that unspirited? But, like, you watch a basketball game, would they not call a timeout in order to get their team to – what is happening here?
Their coaches are on the field waiting to call the timeout. Just as we said. I can see you don't feel very – yeah, you might have. I mean, I can see you don't feel very strongly about the issue.
If anyone knows me, I have a lot of opinions, and I think it makes it more interesting. People can come for me. I'm becoming more resilient to it.
I'm sorry, I kind of set you up.
Well, no, now that I'm hosting a podcast and I'm paid to have an opinion, I am used to having people disagree with me, come for me, tell me I'm wrong, and I welcome it. It's been a really nice thing for me to learn how to be okay with it.
All right.
So you can come for me at the comments if you want. I've become less sensitive. And you know what? If you can change my opinion, that's even better, because I'm a learning human being and I'm fallible. So if you disagree with me in this timeout thing, tell me why. Let's have a discussion about it.
I would like that. Yeah, we don't want people teeing off just saying my opinion because.
Exactly. Give us the reason. So now we've used one timeout for Manitoba. I believe they still have another one.
Yeah. 11:56 by my clock. We did hear the horn go. That wasn't for this game. And
you see the coaches here high-fiving, or not high-fiving, but shaking each other's hands because they know they've sealed the deal.
Yeah, and we just heard a whistle from our scorekeepers that were the extra horn to signal that this is the last point. So Manitoba will advance in this game, but they're going to play the point out.
little bit of confusion on the poll, kind of deciding like when the other team is ready or not.
That pull caught in the wind is going to sail past our tent, go to bounds. Kinsey will come over to pick it up and center that. I do like, Danny, when the horn's gone and the game is effectively over. Still watching teams and coaches, players and coaches, be professional and play it all the way through. No one's walking. No one's giving up. Let's play this out. Kinsey looking for Hernandez. Hernandez likes Kinsey up the line. Kinsey muscles his way through and puts up a big huck. McDonald able there is back up. Number 44, Jonah Wong, was there to make a defensive play, but that went over his head, and McDonald was there to collect. The final score of this game, 11-8. Team Manitoba dropping their first day, losing all their games, battling back in some tough games, including some universe point wins, to come back to the semifinal, and now will have a chance to defend their title.
Yeah, huge congratulations to Team Manitoba, and also just like an amazing fight by Vortex. One of the hardest things to do is to lose in this game, have a bit of time, and have to rally to battle it out for third. Like, I've been in that situation, both as a player and as a coach, and it is extremely tough. But I can say you're going to regret not trying your best to go for it. So if I'm this Vortex team, my whole being is going to be trying to re-rally the troops and motivate the team, because you still have something you can win. There's still something on the line. There's still bronze medals that they can win. And if you're Team Manitoba, you got to rest, recover, and get ready for your final. So we see Manitoba back in the finals 2 years in a row. What a story for them, starting 0-3 on day one to being back here playing on the showcase field again in a couple hours. We do have the women's final that's going to be streamed at 1:30. And the open final will be streamed at 3:45, I believe.
That could be correct.
It could be correct. I've been wrong
Check
before.
the schedules online, folks. It did change over for us a little bit. We weren't 100%, but everything else has been updated. We're the ones lagging behind here. I believe, Danny, I didn't get a score update, but Dino did have an 11-6 lead over Ignite last time we checked. So I believe Manitoba will be facing off against Dino in that open final. So we are going.
Well, I knew it was Eclipse last year, but it's a lot of the same players. And
yes,
same coaches,
yes. The
so
personnel, the personnel on that final will result in somewhat of a rematch. So we're going to take a break on the stream for a little while and then be back with you in an hour and a half for our final games of the junior division. See you soon.